Hey everyone, this is Max and Maxi TCG. Thank you for joining me in another video. So in this video, we're going over the Fire King Structure Deck series, and we're covering the deck analysis section. So in the last video, we covered the deck basics, where we more covered the individual cards, how the different engines work, thinking about them more from understanding the cards themselves. So when you get to the deck analysis, you actually know how the cards work, and if you understand those cards, you probably skip to this section. So what we're going to do in this video is go through all the different decks, explain the kind of structure and thought process behind the deck, how the different engines work in terms of the deck structure, and then we'll jump more into the combo video in the next section. So again, kind of looking at the card rules in the deck, we have 3 Ash, 3 Bonfire, 3 Wanted, 1 of the Witch, and 1 of the Snake, Sinful Spoils, and then Ponix. So in terms of starters for this version of the deck, we have 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 potential starters. Now the ideal starter for this deck is Ash. You don't actually really want to start with Ponix, and some of these decks are actually not running Barong. I do like running Barong as a utility for it, but you can definitely cut this still. I just like that it still makes Ponix a 1-card play, and I think still can have some utility as a 1-of, but you can definitely cut this, and that would make Ponix no longer a starter. So that might be maybe play an extra Witch as an option, maybe you play an extra Snake Eye, Sinful Spoils card, so definitely stuff to consider when it comes to what you want to play in terms of the starter cards you want to use based off maybe how you're altering the deck. Another couple things to consider is maybe playing 1 of the Sanctuary. Again, there's so many ways to access Ponix. You don't necessarily want to draw this. One thing to consider is if Cosmic's very popular, maybe you do want to play more than once so you don't lose your only access to it. Same with Fire King Island. This card, again, if it gets Cosmic'd, you really want to have a second copy. And I think if you were to ever cut these down to 1, you would only cut the Sanctuary to 1 and keep 2 of the Fire King Island. You have the 3 Kieran, again, very standard in most builds. Stop your opponent from using target effect negation on one of your fire monsters, as well as extra bodies on field and extension. Again, Garunix, a lot of people are cutting this to 1 as well. I think this will be a read on a lot of people playing graveyard banishment cards like Called by, DD Crow, and some other ones we could use Soul Release, different options. You might want to keep a second one of these as a way to be able to grind better in a longer game once resources are banished. But again, can cut down for 1 for efficiency. So that's kind of your trade-off. More resilient in a grind game, better efficiency in terms of not drawing this card. And then you have Populace, I think generally just a 2 of, so if you do draw 1, you could search the other. And then, we have our kind of 1 of cards you can get for utility, Arvata for a monster negate, as well as, being extend out when it's destroyed. And then also Barong, again, a cuttable card if you don't want Ponix to be a starter, and definitely one of the cards I'd consider cutting if you want to cut something. And with the Flamebird's Dragon, works great with the Ash, has really cool lines with IP, being able to summon IP from the Spell and Trap Zone to go to SP on the opponent's turn. Really great extension when it's linked off to be able to bring back cards like Ash, Ponix, or Ash and Populace, so you can search other cards and get a lot of follow-up. So really great card in the deck for follow-up in grind game. Skyburn is something I don't see a lot of people play, but again, I still think it's nice, especially to out Floodgate cards in the deck. So I think it can be a really useful card to still keep as a 1 of. And then we have our standard hand trap lineup again: Infinite Permanence, Ash Blossom, Effect Veiler, Nibiru. And again, these work really well with some decks putting out Baron before the 5th summon, or Savage Dragon for the negation. So again, being able to pair Infinite Permanence and Effect Veiler with Nibiru, it's a great way to build out your opponent's boards here. And then 12 hand traps, so about 47% chance to open up 2 going second. And a lot of these are decent in multiples with Effect Veiler and Infinite Permanence not being once per turn, so it does help with this lineup. And then for the extra deck, you have the 1 Garunix for the board wipe, 1 Typhon, just a great card for going second. I think most decks should be playing this if you don't lock yourself out of being able to summon this card. Zeus, also a very good card for going second. You have the Slacker, Magician, and Downard line for being able to make a 4 material Zeus for a double board wipe. The Ponix and Ash, or Ponix, Populace, Ash and Populace. I think a really good line for this to utilize. All Mirage, Link Karibo, kind of IP, and Sunlight Wolf all kind of work as really great attributes for the Deco Talker, Heat Soul. Again, just a way to link off a monster for another fire on the field. Link Kuriboh is a great card for, to link off any of your level 1s, as well as a way to recur it back to the field as well, which is nice. It can be recurred back to be able to like hit a Sunlight Wolf arrow, so you could add a fire bat to hand like Kieran or Ash. IP works really well with the Flamebridge Dragon as well as going to SP, so really great card in the deck and has a lot of recursion, and giving your cards target destruction immunity is also nice. Sunlight Wolf, again, good recursion for Ash or Kieran, but also just a useful attribute for making Heat Soul. This one, Promethean Princess, just an amazing card. Post Phantom Nightmare. I am scared to see the price tags on some of these OCG cards. We already know Bonfire is currently out in the TCG right now. I just haven't updated my database for Edo Pro, but this card is like $90 to like $110 depending on where pre-sales are kind of at, and now the card's more officially released, so hopefully it goes down a little at least, but very expensive. This will probably also be expensive as well as Populous, so the price of this deck is going to be quite a bit. And then we also have the Heat Soul line, nice line to be able to rely on to draw some extra cards. I could see potentially being cut from the deck as well, and it's like another option to consider. Ambler Whale works really well with the Princess, so also a very good card. And then we have the Goddess. Again, I like having Goddess as an option in the deck, works well with IP, can out untargetable monsters, but definitely something to consider. Another option to maybe consider adding to the deck is Pit Knight. Way to kind of play if you get Nibiru'd with having a fire on board for Princess, and does have a way to negate and reduce the monster's attack to 0. Can be useful on the opponent's turn when you summon a monster to its zone. If I were to probably cut this, I'd maybe cut Goddess for this card. That's probably what I'd consider cutting. If you're going to maybe even Heat Soul if you just don't want to go into it, because the other cards are still useful even without Heat Soul to go into. So stuff I would consider playing for the Pit Knight. And then side deck, Droll and Lockbirds, again really good searching this format, but again if your opponent starts with Ash, they can play through Droll pretty well still. DD Crow, good for banish cards in the grave, versatile card in a lot of matchups. Pearly, Unchained, Fire King, very solid card overall. Cosmic Cyclone, again really good against Fire King, Labyrinth, Churion, very good card this format. Runic decks. Then we have Voltax's Talent, really good card when it comes to being able to play first and second. And since both Photon Nightmare, we're going to be in probably a very heavy hand trap format. Again, just cards like this really shine. When your opponent hand traps, you could rip the second hand trap, rip the starter, board breaker if they are playing board breakers. Draw into more cards if your hand's not very good. Keep playing, steal your opponent's monster. Very solid, especially when running Zeus in the deck. XYZ Encore's way of outing Xyz monsters like Abyss Dweller, Pearly Noir, Zeus. Very solid card. And then with the Call by the Grave to be able to out Droll, out the Dimension Shifter. So very good card as well. Right, so I hope this is really helpful for the deck analysis, just trying to explain how the decks are constructed, theory behind the amount of card rules you're playing, how those work, different tech options, and kind of the synergies for why the cards are in the deck, and things you can swap things out for, and how to think about which cards are good depending on the situation, and why you might alter your deck building based off what you're considering to expect in the format. Again, just remember, deck building isn't necessarily going to be a perfect solution. There could be reasons, again, to play 2 of a card or 1 of a card, and they're going to have their trade-offs. And a lot of that is really making reads on what you think is being played and what you're trying to play around. And that is part of a step for becoming a really good player and getting better at deck building, is being able to make those decisions. Again, I hope this was really helpful. If it was, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help, especially making these longer videos. It means a lot, and it's nice to see people are liking the content. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And if you want to join and become a patron to support the channel because you like the content I'm making, you can find the links in my video description, about page on my YouTube channel or my website. You can see different things that will come with each of the tiers, as well as each tier having a 7-day free trial to try it out and see if you like it before committing financially. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos.